You're listening to a classical music moment on Talking Culture, AM 1030 KVOI, The Voice. This is Symphony Number 4, a selection from At the Far Edge, the symphonic works of Daniel Asia, the New Zealand Symphony Orchestra playing, and James Sedaris conducting. Beautiful. And it's always nice when you listen to someone's music and then they're in studio so you can ask them about it. And this morning it happens to be the case that Daniel Asia is in studio with us. Daniel, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for being in with us. So Daniel, you got a big event coming this weekend, and it is free, but you said folks are welcome to pay for it, and but they don't have to.
Yeah, we're always open to people
just if you get the microphone closer so we can hear you better. Yeah.
Laying money on us. We like that. You know, the university is not rolling in dough right now. But let's that joking aside, it is a free event. It is the Arizona Contemporary Ensemble, also known as ACE colloquially. So we are doing a concert with 4 pieces, and they are just extraordinary pieces. I can tell you all of them. Darius Milhaud's jazz piece called The Creation of the World.
La création du monde.
Du monde. That's it. And then 2 world premieres, one by my colleague and student, Armağan Durdağ, The Refuge, and a world premiere of the Jane Set Duo for 2 saxophones, which Eddie and Alan are playing. They're both here with us. And then finally, Terry Riley's Minimalist, seminal work in C.
So Armağan Durdağ is actually in with us, who wrote this piece called Refuge. And Armağan, I love the theme behind this. I don't think of symphonic music being written with such a story to tell or with such an emotive purpose behind it. Mm-hmm. But you wrote this. You're Turkish yourself.
I am.
Turkey borders Syria. There are things going on in this world right now in Syria that are difficult and problematic. And
yes.
And so you wrote this. Not so much as about refugees, but about what it means to have a refuge. So
Correct.
1 E. Take us inside of your mind when you're composing this, and what was undergirding this for you.
Well, my friend Rippe from University of Memphis, he commissioned this piece, and I've been working on this piece for 1 year, and he's so sensitive about the sufferings there, but I really wanted it to be dedicated on the concept of refuge rather than the refugees. So it's a solid and safe place within our souls. Everybody can reach there. It doesn't have to be a really built kind of a building. So, and it's not only dedicated to the Syrian refugees, it's dedicated to the whole people who had to leave their beloved countries because of a devastating war. So it is not only for the Syrian people.
That's Armağan Durdağ.
Yes,
is that right? Am I right about that?
It's correct. Armağan Durdağ.
Armağan Durdağ. Okay,
yeah.
Very pretty. You are studying with Daniel Asia right now. Do I have that correct?
Correct.
He's your.
He's my professor, and I'm a second-year doctoral student at the School of Music at the University of Arizona.
So Daniel, you've written countless. Well, we can count them. You've written 5 beautiful symphonies.
Count them, baby. Yeah, 5.
I would say world-renowned. I could go. The list goes on about who you've collaborated with. I'm curious in the way that Armağan, had this motivation to write this piece, Refuge. Were any of your symphonies similarly inspired? What was going on when you're writing some of your best works?
My 5th symphony is a vocal symphony, and it's based on texts of Yehuda Amichai, who is Israel's best-known contemporary poet, an American Jewish poet who I've been setting since we met at the McDowell Arts Colony 40 years ago almost, Paul Pines, and then Psalms. So, yeah, is that somewhat similar? I suppose. In other words, in the same way that Bach wrote cantatas on sacred texts, my 5th symphony is a work on, quote, texts that tell our story, or tell for me a story, and from very different perspectives. If Bach brings a Christian perspective to a sense of universality, I'm bringing a Jewish perspective also to a place of universality. So the answer is yes.
That's composer Daniel Asia. They have a free event this week at Crowder Hall, U of A School of Music, 7:30 on Sunday. There's going to be 4 pieces, 2 world premieres?
You bet.
When you say world premiere, does that mean that it hasn't been played in front of a live audience yet?
Nobody has ever heard these pieces yet.
So we don't know if they're good or not, though.
Oh, they are fabulous. Yes, we do. We know that. We know that.
The Jane Set duo being one of those. It's a saxophone version. Eddie and Alan are also in with us, both saxophonists. And are you guys going to be playing the Jane Set duo? Is that correct?
That's it. Yes, together.
Talk to us about that.
Yes, so this is a piece that was approached to the two of us by Dan Asia, and something that we've been putting together since Alan Rippe has come to join us here at the University of Arizona at the beginning of this week. And it's been this is a very demanding work. It's really has been stretching us technique-wise, and it's a piece that is something I've wanted to talk to Dan more about, but it's like just from having played it, it's a very, it's a 12-tone bass composition, which is...
Oh, don't scare them.
Don't scare them.
No, it's just not
It's exciting.
It's just not completely tonal. Not completely. Okay, go ahead.
No, thank you
Go
for...
ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
I appreciate...
Go ahead.
I appreciate the explanation there.
Yeah.
But it is a work that, for my part in particular, I'm playing both a baritone saxophone and a tenor saxophone, where Alan is primarily playing on the soprano saxophone. Yeah. And Dan has no problem taking us throughout the entire range of our instruments, and it's been a really enjoyable experience, I believe, for the both of us.
And just to clarify, so soprano sax means think Kenny G. Right? The sound. And then the Barry is Jerry Mulligan for those jazz aficionados out there in the audience.
Well, you're listening to Talking Culture, and we have a lot of guys in from the University of Arizona Fred Fox School of Music right now. I wanted to talk about the Jazz Festival, ask you guys. We had it. It was last month. It was great. We had a lot of the performers on. And I personally prefer 10-to-1 classical music to jazz music for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But when you talk about the saxophone, that's a very jazzy instrument. What is it like? And I'll ask you, Alan Rippe's in. He's been composing music for decades on the saxophone. What is it like playing the sax in a classical manner, as opposed to a jazz one?
What I wanted to let the audience know is that this is May and December in the saxophone world here. He's on his first year of faculty service here at the University of Arizona, and I'm on my 38th year of service at the University of Memphis.
So you've outed yourself as an old guy, is what you just did.
Yes, I'm old in the shell, but
Not
young in the heart.
Yeah.
And I try to think youthful things. In fact, as we were rehearsing yesterday, I saw you when you play the recorder, as I do on the side, you see a lot of Renaissance dance riffs printed in music, and I kept pointing out to Eddie. I said, even though it's in 3/4, I think we're supposed to dance the 6/8.
Yeah, sometimes you are. You bet.
I think that's what he means by that. So we're dancing. It probably doesn't sound like Susato
You're dancing.
at that point.
So you're talking like that's how you're describing what you're doing with the saxes. You guys are,
dancing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Even the slow movements have dance rhythms assigned.
That's Alan Rippe. He's a Michigan man. I hope still to this day.
I don't see him wearing my maize and blue suit at the show.
Okay, you will be. Okay,
yes.
Excellent. Also, spent time in North Carolina, but I want to know about your Memphis, a ballet for alto saxophone and 10 instruments. You were commissioned to do this back in the 80s.
I got the commission together, which meant I had to write the proposal to the National Endowment for the Arts,
You're your own
along
grant
with
writer.
Joseph Luloff and Cynthia Sykes. We got the grant, so it's a good thing because when this piece gets written, 3 people agree to perform it in different sites in the country. So it seemed like we were building a huge arena at that time in the shape of a pyramid, and sure enough, I had one commission got to be premiered in that pyramid on its top floor. which today it's a Bass Pro Shop.
Oh, of course.
But it's the only Bass Pro Shop where you can try out your boat inside of the store.
You're listening to Talking Culture. We're up against it. Come back with us. We're going to actually have some, some live live saxophone. Edward Goodman is going to play. So play us after this quick commercial break on Talking Culture. And I want to talk to Daniel Asia more about the purpose of music, why we create it, what does it do for the soul. So stay with us on Talking Culture Thursday morning. Well, you're listening to Talking Culture. We are live in studio with Alan Rippe, Edward Goodman, Armağan Durdağ, and Daniel Asia. Daniel Asia from the University of Arizona School of Music. And Daniel, I wanted to ask you, is that newly named?
It's the Fred Fox School of Music, yeah. In honor of Fred, his son, Alan, gave us a gift of $25 million.
That's sizable.
Yeah, it's sizable, and eventually it will yield a nice endowment which will help us out a lot.
So, Daniel, I wanted to ask you about music. What is it, if you could put your finger on it, that we enjoy so much about music, or why is it important to get exposure? What happens to a person's mind and soul when they're, let's just go away from the creation and performance of it.
Yeah.
When I'm going and I'm consuming it, what is that about for me?
Yeah. It's a great question, and the answer, I think, is twofold. What you just heard, for example, with Eddie playing Paganini, is human virtuosity.
It's
Okay.
the Caprice One.
The Caprice One. In other words, what can we do as humans? And one of the things we do is we can do things that wow us. That wowed us.
Yes.
But what music also does, and part of that, is it takes us to a transcendent place. I mean, music originally, and for most of its life, is associated with religious expression, and then into the secular world where we dance with religious fervor, if not for religious ends. So I think those are both of the goals of music. We express joy, and we express transcendence.
We express sorrow in music, too,
And
right?
sorrow. We can express sorrow in music as well.
What about in the creation of it, in the conduction?
There's lots of sorrow in the creation of it. It takes a lot of heart and a lot of. It's hard, baby. It's
Seriously,
hard.
I want to ask you, for someone
Yeah.
who's never created a symphony, and I have
Yeah.
not yet done that,
Yeah.
but for the majority of the world
I don't need any competition.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
For the majority of the world who's never participated in the creation of any kind of music, much less a symphony with all these number of instruments and this
Right.
great length, how do you start? Like, what's the beginning process there? Do you envision the archetyped, okay, we're going to go here, we're going to have these instruments? I mean, that's such a huge undertaking. Talk to me about the sorrow of creating music.
Sure. Well, first of all, it's hard. It's not an easy task unless you're a Mozart or a Schubert. For them, it seems
It came natural to this.
Yeah, it's not natural. It's just sort of it poured out. But for most of us, like Stravinsky and Beethoven, we have to really work at it. And so it's nice to have models like that, because Beethoven did okay, and he had to really struggle. So it's a struggle. That's the first of all. The second is you have to define your territory at the start. Am I writing a symphony that's 20 minutes long, or is it 40 minutes long? Because that tells you a little bit about your material. Is it going to be 3 movements? Is it going to be 5 movements? And then you have to start. And that's always the most difficult thing. For any artist, it doesn't make any difference. We all talk in the same language at the start. It's the blank page. Oh my God, how do I do this? And it's girding your loins, if you'll excuse the expression, getting the courage to do it again. And then you start. And you know that you're on a long process, and you're going to get going.
You're listening to Talking Culture. Alan Rippe has a comment.
Yes, I would like to add this dimension to it, because there are reasons a fellow like me chooses an Armağan Durdağ to be his composer. And I set this measure against Armand, and he met it and exceeded it. If the melodies that the gentleman generates meet this measurement, does this sound like it always existed since creation? And that Armand simply pulled it out of the air because he is the conduit.
Thank you, Alan.
That's a good sign if it's always existed and he simply tapped into it.
He counts as the composer now that on paper, but he is in many ways like Lewis and Clark, is the discoverer
Of something that
was there already.
Very interesting. Armağan Durdağ, who wrote The Refuge, it's going to be its world premiere is Sunday, a free performance Sunday night, 7:30 at the Fred Fox School of Music. What's the name of? I should have it. The Crowder Hall.
Crowder Hall, exactly.
Yeah.
It's right at Park and Speedway.
Armand, talk to me about similar question. Your creation process was there even a refuge found for you in creating The Refuge?
Definitely. It's a very good question. Thank you so much. My country is having a lot of problems right now, and I'm here because of my doctoral program, and I'm actually feeling that refuge in my heart because I love my country, but right now I'm here and safe and doing my art with my professor and creating my art. It's a very safe and like a refuge place here, and I can feel that I'm protected, and I can feel that I can create my music through my soul. So definitely yes.
So 621-1655. Do you have to get tickets or?
You just show up. All you have to do is show up, and we'll let you in.
First come, first serve.
First come, first serve.
Okay, that's 7:30. That's a free event at Crowder Hall. I wish we had another 10 hours. I'd love to keep talking to you guys.
We'll come back sometime.
Oh, you will come back. Okay, it's a deal. I'd seriously love to have you back in.
We'll compose music here.
Eddie,
Yeah.
would you like to play our show out with some more sax music? Is that possible? Do you have anything else lined up? You could play that same song.
Well, I do have another thing I can play. It's not going to be with piano, of course. We can only fit so much in here. But I will take us out with some Chartis,
Why don't you-
Vittorio Monti's Chartis.
Yeah, great. You've got a minute. Play us out.
Gypsy.
This has been Talking Culture. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy some saxophone music on your Thursday. Come back with us tomorrow morning. Come on.